It's that time where we go back memory lane to have the conversation with history. I'd implore you to come along with us as we meet Honorable Akogun. So we're having a conversation with history with a historian. I mean, what are the odds? Thank you so much for having us in your home. Earlier on, we had a report, a feature on you, which encapsulated your journey so far. And we saw that you crisscrossed from the military to the civilian territory, and then you delve into the very turbulent water of politics. And the question is, how did you do that? What informed that, trajectory?
Well, even as a youth, I like to test grounds. I don't run away from doing new things to see how it goes or how I go with them. Um, Having left the military, I thought that I needed something to keep me alive. I'm very busy. And it just came about the time the military handed over governance to the civil society, civilians. Yes, I thought that I could test the waters, even in the political field. That's why I came into politics. And so far, I think so good.
I'm sure you've had sometimes smooth sailing and other times stormy weathers, that also maybe move the boat a bit.
Thank you. Thank you for saying boats. It means we are in water.
Yes.
So it depends on the waves and all that. Oh, yes, that is true. It's the same thing that goes on even in life, really. Um, Sometimes things come on well, right, and you don't have to struggle. You go through rather quietly or smoothly. If things get tough, then you get tough.
Anybody who would hear your first name, Babatunde Akogun, the first impression they will have is you're from the southwest. But really, you're from the old Bendel, but Edo State, if you want to be particular about that. And the question is, how did you come about that name? Is it a name that is associated with people from that area, or it was acquired at some point?
Well, my part of Edo State, we are at the boundary. Actually, we are Edo people. We are Edo people. But when we were in the West, Western region, before we got our state, we were, we got, our local government was Akoko,
Akoko Edo?
no, no, Akoko Edo. Yes. Actually, it's because across the river Ose also, which takes you into west, you have Akoko also. Akoko Ikare, Akoko blah blah blah, and so on and so on. So we are Akoko Edo. So it's okay. What is the name? It's for recognition, isn't it?
Yes.
In any case, that shows people where we are. Everybody now knows that when you cross River Ose, the first part of those states, when you are coming from Ikare and Kure and so on, is Akoko Edo. That means we are welcoming you to Edo State.
And has that name, has it caused you any kind of controversy in the past?
Akoko Edo.
No, your name.
Oh, my
Tunde.
name, Babatunde Akogun.
Yes.
Sometimes I also ensure that in the middle, an Edo name really is there. But it's tongue twisting. I'm Babatunde Ayonuha Temo Akogun. First and last Yoruba.
I think it's safer for me that way because. So now, going back in history, I mean, you have contributed your quota to national development, and that's the reason why we're here actually. And now, for us to, appreciate our present and project into the future, we have to go back to the past, and that's the whole essence of the program. So, first things first, where exactly did you have your upbringing?
I always mention this. Even though I'm from Akoko, I wasn't born in Akoko. I was born in Esako, Auchi. And like I said, I was going with my father who was a cutler also. Went to Agenebode. I'm Ocho in present Onwa. I'm from there to Zeba and Sabunga where I did my school start.
So, can you share some of those memories about growing up, your experience and what shaped your perception of the country and giving back to society and all of that? Can you share that experience?
Primary school, secondary school, university, and working life has been outside Akoko. I started primary school in Otuo, 2 years in infant school, then got to Uzeba Yuleha, St. Michael's School, Uzeba. That's where I had my primary school standard 1 up to 6. So from St. Michael's Primary School, Uzeba Yuleha, in present day, I went to secondary school, Holy Trinity Grammar School, Sabungida Ora, up till I took school start. At the point of taking school start, I wrote an entrance to one of the very few schools that offered HSC. Besides that, in our time, you either get through to the university through that, or you wait and you take entrance to UI, which was at that time there was just about 5 universities: Ibadan, Lagos, Zanzibar University, Nsukka, and Zaria. 1962, I got into University of Ibadan and I read history. Graduated in the year 1965. And many people who are even nodding their heads now are probably not born, certainly not born.
And looking at Nigeria now and Nigeria then, of course, there's been so much that has happened and has changed the history and changed quite a number of things that you're used to.
My daddy died when I was at university, but luckily, even before he died, I saw some people writing, filling forms. I said, "What are you filling for?" Say, for scholarship. So I said, "Why not?" Thank God. I could have thought that my father was alive, he could pay my school fees all through. So, but I took the form and filled the form for scholarship. I got a scholarship to go through the university from the government of Western Region. The Nigerian Palava started and the Civil War came across. And it was when I was there as a teacher that I decided to. I knew that I'm not too sure whether I had served out my term that I should serve as a scholarship. Somebody was trained by the government and so on. But since I decided to go to the army, of course, they couldn't. Government, it was for the country. Government, of course, they didn't stop me and so on.
So going into the military, going into the army, was it as a result of the war that happened? Was that what inspired you, or were there other sources of inspiration?
I think I was doing very well at the government college, Ugele, as a teacher in government college, Ugele. But when the war broke out, I felt challenged and I thought I should go into the army.
You didn't think of what could possibly happen? I mean, death and all of that. That didn't prick you at that time?
I didn't want to mention this because I always mention this somewhere. Yes, in the process of going to the army, of course, I had lost my daddy. I had to go to my village to tell. My entire family had moved back to Akoko. So I went home to tell my mother that. She said, how is school, how is work? I said, fine. When are you going back? I said, I'm not going back, I'm going to the army. So she said, no, don't go to the army. I don't know. She probably had the impression that you're going to the army to die. So she was not happy. She said, no, you can't go, you will not go. So I was begging her, oh, mommy, nothing is going to happen to me. Please pray. She kept crying. So at a point, me too, I got fed up. I said, Mama, I've been begging you, explaining to you. I want to go to the army. You said I mustn't go and so on. I said, are you afraid that I'm going to die? Please, take it. I will not die. I will get into the army, fight, and come back. Is that all right? So stop crying. Rather than crying, pray for me. So she prayed for me. You will get into the army and come out peacefully, having served your country.
And so, in the course of that period, I mean, that civil war, what were the lessons, personal lessons, you would take away from that experience, that exposure?
That war is destructive. I wish it ended with, say, breaking down bridges so that your enemy can pass through without this, stopping, doing this and so on. It involves loss of life. And it's of course, it makes things not workable. There's a standstill in governance. Of course, there's no peace. So especially in the war front, everything comes to a standstill. And when you add the fact that you see blood flowing, then it shakes. I mean, it's shaking. But that's war. You win by being, in quotes, if killing an enemy is murder or so, then you succeed in murdering more people. So, but if you look at it that way, then war is not necessary. Because whatever happens at the end of the war, peace comes back. So why do you go through letting blood flow before you arrive at an agreement that brings things to normalcy?
Were there moments during that time when you felt like, come, I've had enough, I need to step out so that I don't lose my life in the process? Were there moments where you actually questioned your decision to go into the army?
Well, I won't say thank God because I'm not, people died. The memory is, oh my God, I want to say where I stored it, it should be there naturally, nobody should tamper with it. When I go back to it, even entirely on my own, I thank God and I'm happy that I was part of it.
What is that thing? Because you're talking about memory that you have preserved. It's like an exclusive preserve for you. What is that moment? It could be an image, it could be something that happened that struck you and will remain with you for the rest of your life during that period.
A lot of odd and awesome things and so on. I really wouldn't want to mention that. But what for me, at the end of it all, when the war has stopped, is the fact that God made things work that way. It was at the end of the war, things were normal now, that I met a young lady who is today my life partner. I wouldn't tell her this so much when she hears of course she will get very large-hearted. But I don't think that I would have been where I am today because she's been a factor in making things happen and how they happen and how well they happen in my life and so on. We have been together for 50 years. And so on.
Wow.
Yes, I know that quite well. I know that there must be people who have been together for 60 or even 70 years, but at least this is a record and we are still going. So,
Yes, and I can see that you're going smoothly and purposefully, and that's a good one.
how do you see it?
Oh no, I'm a journalist. I read between the lines. I read the things you're not telling me,
Okay.
and I see the things that are not being projected on Billboard. But I can see that there's a flow because I've met her, and
Okay.
of course I complimented her as being a goddess, so beautiful. You must have eye for a good thing. But again, we'll come back to that. I just want us to go into your beginnings, so that we can understand how you got to where you got to today. So, upon retirement, I mean, when retirement was coming, of course, you served your time, you served your nation, and it was time for you to take a bow. How did you feel at that time?
From the civil you came to the civil thou shalt go back to. I mean, uh, everybody was a civilian before he went for army training and all that, and he went to join the army. So I believe that we are all one in any case. Who are those even there? you are a soldier. Your wife and children are civilians. So what is it? They can only sit down. So the main thing is the civil. So I was very happy to go back to the civil and so on. Yes, the fun, the seriousness, the way things happen, uh, obeying order, not just it does not make you a machine. No, you know, but it's better called an order so that you know how to perform it and so on without going back and obey it and all that. So all that, all these things you go into them naturally, and as you get back into the civil, like I said, from civil life you came, you will return there, and this is by the time you get back, you are happier. It's an experience that I wish, if it were possible, every, every everybody should go through the army.
But did the army in any way also change you? I mean, in terms of your propensity for strictness and being firm and all of that, did it impact on you in that way?
When you are growing up, it's not like my time. Um, there was something like Boy Scout. By the time you're in primary, uh, 4, 5, no, not primary, standard 4, 5, and 6. They say you give you uniform. You're Boy Scout, you love the uniform. You do this when you're in scouting uniform. You do this. You cannot do this. You cannot do that. So for those of us who started like that, it set a pace, and we had to look up as we're even growing. We're looking for something like that. It was very interesting.
Any regrets?
It will hurt you, especially if you know him. I'm human. To say somebody is dead, is 20 something, 21 or so, whatever it is. Quite a few people were graduates, 24, 25, and all that, 23, 24, 25. To say it's dead, it's just like a big tree that would have grown into a mighty Iroko tree, just got off when it's just starting to grow, and so on. But you get a satisfaction.
And in today's world and today's reality, there are some people who are drumming, sounding the drum of war. And for someone like you who has seen war in its true colors, what advice will you give to those people? Because again, some of them are very young people, so they may not even have an idea of what war is about. You have seen it, you've been there, you've been on the battlefront, and you've seen it. What would you be telling these young people who are saying, "Oh, let's go to war"?
I think people should look at it. It's you are wasting life. Of course, many come back, many die. But when you look back and say, "My God, you wouldn't have died if it was not in the army," and what has happened at the end of the day, both sides come together, and life goes on as usual. Go to the table and settle matters peacefully. You win some, you take some. You surrender some, you take some, and all that. So it's better. Yes, that's why I'm particularly sad about some of the drums that I'm hearing being played now. I pray and I hope that we won't get there.
I say a big amen to that. As you rightly put it, there's no gain to it. There will only be destruction.
That's right.
And monumental destruction, and it will affect everyone. No one will be an island at that time. And they're rebuilding the nation. I mean, Somalia and all, Afghanistan and all of that. Oh, look at what is happening today.
The destruction, avoidable destruction. Yes. So you are right.
Okay, so now moving on now. I mean, you've shared your military experience with us, and of course, at one time you had to take a bow. So when you took that bow, how did you pattern your life such that you are still relevant even as we speak?
I left about the time I thought God wanted me to leave. I don't know whether the army thought they had had enough of me, but it was good really. And let me tell you, it was at a point when everybody, or most people, were expecting that governance to come back to
Civilian.
civilians. I didn't have my eyes, as it were, on politics, but it was about the time I left. I knew that I wasn't going back to civil service. I knew that something had to happen, and I would do it. And by God's grace, I will succeed.
Are you saying you took a leap in the dark?
No, no. When I left, what I mean that I was ready for anything. Yes, I was ready to do anything.
So, what was the next big thing for you after your exit from the army?
I tried what I wasn't too used to, business. I think I was doing well. But thank God, not too long after I left, the military government okayed politics. So I was one of those who first started run. I ran for governorship of Edo State.
So, what informed you of wanting to go into the governorship of Edo State back then? What was your motivation?
Any man who has the training, not so far you are not an illiterate, you can't go there as an illiterate. You have a right to go for governorship.
No, we're not talking about rights now.
No. You see, I thought that serving my nation was already part of me. Even when I was in civil service, I thought I was serving my people.
What would you say was the reason why you couldn't clinch that ticket for the governorship of Edo State when you vied for that
Oh
position?
no, that one, it was because at a point, I think it's Abacha. I think it's Abacha's death. Yes, that's right. We were campaigning for it. We were very close to the primaries and all that when he died. So all that had to go. Yes.
So you had to rest it?
Of
Was
course,
it a personal decision or the people's decision?
Oh, by the time I was, I arrested it, and by the time the opportunity came up again, not only I wasn't scared by more people coming in, but I knew that the little money I had, if you could save, or some of your friends gave you some money, and a few millions, you could run all this. I'm told, but I know that today you probably need billion to run. So I ran. That's why I ran for governorship. Because I knew I could make it.
Speaking of how friends help out to, actualize your political ambition, given the political culture we have in this country, it will seem that it is a money-based politics that we practice here. In your own opinion, how do we get out of this such that people of credible antecedent can actually come forward and serve their people in spirit and in truth instead of, the money bags lording it over people and, imposing themselves on people?
All of us have to deserve a school of reorientation. And most people, not everybody, maybe including you want money. You want to shop, they have money and they look at how they spend it. It's not necessarily everybody, but that's not what it should be. You want to serve the people, you serve them. You serve them. And you should be proud of what you are telling them you want to do for them, and it should be from your heart. That's the first thing you do. It's not buying a car to go and give somebody, either because it's Oba or whatever, and so you say you can get these people to vote for you. No, go and tell them what you want to do, your program. Then if they buy it, of course, they'll vote for you.
Speaking of service to the people, if you have to score yourself, would you say you have rendered the much you can, in the cause of your active public life to your people?
Well, I wonder what you wanted me to say. To say I haven't. Of course I have. I've done that. I've done quite a few things that I had in mind. I have not. Of course, you have a long list of what you think you can do and what you should do. You are not there forever. I was a two-termer. I was in the house for 2 terms and all that. Yes, the first time I was just coming in. When I was in my second term, I was leader of the house. And I garnered experience. I believe that everybody who is in politics has a desire, a wish to serve the people and make things better.
Going back to your comment about those who go into politics are there to serve people, quite a number of people would actually object to that comment, because, some are of the opinion that, sometimes when people go into public office is for self-serving reasons, an agenda. And of course, yes, we have some very genuine ones who really go there for service, but not all of them.
I would like to think that anybody who goes into politics wants because he wants to service people. Yeah, yes, but it's not so. Some go in because of what they think they can get. It's not unnatural. We are human beings and all that. But I wish really there was a school for politicians. So if you want to join, not if you want to do political science at the university, of course, go ahead. But if you want to come and play politics, you should go for orientation or a course at a school and they teach you. Some people may think it's an insult. Really, you may be right. A few people think that when they are there, of course, they won't want to get out water. But you are not there to enrich yourself alone, enrich the people.
You were also one time a sole administrator, culture.
Yeah, that's a political appointment when I got when I was in the army. I was deputy commandant military school, Zaria. When I got there, the archives and culture were the same department. I ensured that archives was a different department and so on. It has to do with culture, a bit of it and so on. So I split it. I worked on cultural policy. By the time I got to, it was during my time we had cultural policy for Nigeria. Of course, I was also in charge of NCAC and all the cultural. I had an eye, not fully on museum and all that. All the cultural sector was under me. Chief Herbert Ogunde was one of the most influential, if not the leader of almost all the artists in Nigeria then. Even though he had no formal training, but he was indeed. I had to get him, appeal to him, say, call all other artists as much as possible. Come, I'm not forcing you back to National Theatre. Come, let's have lunch. And they came, we had a big, National Theatre,
Yes.
the banquet hall. I set it up, and thank God, it's not by power, it's not by wisdom. I think it's just God that helped me. And the way I came in, I'm sure they must have, maybe when I came in, they must have thought that an army man would drive us out and so on. I was quite nice, friendly with them. So, of course, Ogunde and other artists and many people who are interested in art. Oh, no, they are not artists and so on. Some are lawyers and all that. I won't mention their names now. They spoke and they came back and work now really started. General Buhari was the head of state then. I was appointed and I started work at National Theatre June 6th, I can't remember now. So, and of course, by August, we had a new head of state. And of course, I had solid support and so on, all through, even from Buhari. And of course, quite a lot of it and more of it when General Babangida became head of state. And so on.
So what was the relationship like with Herbert Ogunde, apart from the one you just mentioned?
Oh, yeah, Herbert Ogunde, I looked at me as an uncle. I was going really cultural now, self. No, yes, I'm the head of this place. I didn't think that I was in the army ordering him around. No. In fact, I used quite a lot of things to get the artist interested in coming back to National Theatre. And I knew that, yes, he may not have gone for proper academic training to run the troupe and all that, but he knows even the academic people came to learn from him. This was his area, it was his life. I mean, it was part of him.
Was there a sterling moment between you and him that you would always remember? I mean, because the name Herbert Ogunde, resonates with art, resonates with history, and it has this nostalgic feeling, that comes with the mention of that name. What would be your sterling moment with him?
When I was Minister of State for Culture, Ogunde was just slightly over 70 or so. And everybody looked at him as an old man. But he didn't feel it. He didn't act it. He didn't know. He didn't know. I mean, there was a time when we decided to set up national troop. It was I decided to set up national troop. I used him as the engine room. People may say he doesn't have the academic qualification. Academic qualification is got from the knowledge of what even the illiterates who can read and write contributed to knowledge. No, but he wasn't. It was more than that. He knew what it was, and he was born into, and what he was doing was now part of him.
A lot of people had this myth about him that he was invincible. He could disappear and appear and all of that. To you, how did that come across?
You see, he's an actor. So if he does it on stage, people may think that he probably does it naturally, it's part of him and so on. No, but really, he, like I said, art and was part of him. He grew, and it's just like if he woke up and he said good morning, and if he has a cup of tea, he will be thinking, oh, is it for that play we were practicing yesterday? The art was part of him and all that. He loved it, and he really displayed it. And quite a few, well, not a few, many of the young artists learned from him. Many people didn't think that, simple thing like national troop, which everybody was looking at, that was possible. But Chief Albert Ogunde and I drove. In fact, I think Albert Ogunde was 72 or 74. So he had his own car. I had official cars and so on. Quite a few occasions, he could sit with me. But most of the time, he goes in his car. Even at that age, sometimes we take control of the steering. Well, we moved from every state headquarters to all the states. I don't know now, maybe there were 18 states or 21 states then, not 36. But all the same, we went through all the states.
What area of legislation, what area of the National Assembly do you think, from your own experience and exposure to that area of national development, would you say really need to be rigid such that it's functional and it serves the good of the nation and the people?
The legislators work hard, but senators, after working hard, some bills can take quite some time. And after working hard on it, and it's passed, and the head of state assents to it, then it's left for the civilians, the civil service, so to make it work.
Among the bills you proposed, which one would you say stand out? Which one is so closest to your heart?
I will leave it. I don't want to share a few things that will be.
That'll be a conversation for another day. Did you play a role in how the votes went for that third term agenda?
Yes. We had to use a motion both passed by Senate and House to say no, this shouldn't be. So it came out smoothly.
Do you regret it today?
I don't, because then things will never end. We are criticizing other states, other nations. Say you are supposed to have 2 terms in the president, and you are going to after some time they put aside that law. I don't know whether the motion wanted us to do that. Then you act 3rd term, 4th term, 5th term, and all that. It becomes ridiculous. And so on. But I don't regret it at all. I'm sure. I believe that the big man, people thought that he pushed it and so on. Today is a historical figure, internationally known. I'm sure that it doesn't mind at all.
The question is, did you make enemies, for that decision you made? Because, of course, you may not be, it may not be a popular song to sing at that time.
In legislature, in the House, in the Parliament. Oh yes, at the point of trying to pass a law or a motion or whatever it is. Of course, you have those who are for it. and who are against it. But when you take a decision on the motion, whether it's positive, I mean, in favor of the fellow who pushed it or not, is what all of us have decided.
Okay, so from military, you got into civilian life, and of course, you went into the deep waters of politics. Would you say you have ticked all the boxes when it comes to, looking at your bucket list? You are now 80 years old. That's a milestone. Even though you don't look it. I mean,
Thank
you
you
could
very
pass for a 65-year-old man.
Thank you very much.
You will tell us the secret
I'm
too.
flattered.
You will tell us the secret before the end of the program. So, but the thing is, you must have, growing up, you had your ambition. You had a bucket list that you wanted to tick. Would you say you have ticked all the boxes in terms of accomplishment?
If you pray for me to God to return my age to 40 or 50, I will tell you what next I want to do.
Okay, for a moment there, let's just pause. Let's rewind back to when you were 40. What would you have done differently?
I don't know if there's anything, because I had a way of working towards what I want to achieve. Whether people advise me that it's okay or not, there are a few things. If I had my way, I wouldn't have gone into civil service, really. I wouldn't have.
Why not?
I wanted something challenging. So why I want to say that even I had to join the army during the war. So I wanted something different.
So in essence, you're saying those in civil service are not challenged enough.
They are challenged. Oh my God, the way they accept the challenge, so easily, so either they don't want to try out. I want to try out a few things. So, and I knew that civil service is the wrong place, wrongest place, if there's a way like that, for anybody like that to stay.
Okay, what do you think is responsible for that? It's
Civil
just
service.
not.
Yes, I was thinking of something else. But like I said, since I had government scholarship, and they wanted my service, so I had to surrender and all that.
Okay, so what do you do these days?
Oh, I really haven't quite left, retired from politics. I'm still in politics. I'm still a politician. So, I'm always saying that
A passive politician or an active politician?
I'm still active. Yes, I'm active.
Or kingmaker?
Oh yes, with my age and experience, I shouldn't be contesting for anything now. What? No.
So if I come and kneel before you now, you just make me a subject.
Oh yes, and you have to go and meet the people. Then the only thing we can do is, oh, she's kind of a very brilliant young girl. Oh, she was with the NTA, blah 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 blah. I mean, let's see what she can do. I won't even go. I won't go 100%. As if they will say I'm the one promoting it. So, then you go and sell politically yourself as a politician and all that. It's good. It's better that way. It's sweeter. And every second or minutes of my political career, I've enjoyed it. But there have been challenges. There have been very some dangerous plots and all that. And,
Which is the most dangerous?
Well, if you get a few supporters and you are talking with them and you don't know that as far as they live there, they are going to leak the information to your political opponent.
If they were to make you a leader, if Providence was to make you a leader of this country, what are those cardinal decisions you would make that you, in your own opinion, would think would change the dynamics as we have it today?
Well, I will work towards uniting all the ethnic groups to believe, to know that they are one. It's Providence, it's God that brought us together.
Let's move away from your political life, your public life, into, your private life. You talked about you meeting your wife. Was it during the military or?
During the military.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So
maybe
how did that meeting happen? I mean, your first meeting with your wife.
She was working with the army Army headquarters. Okay, DV headquarters in Port Harcourt. And I saw her, my home, personal home, was in the same area, just close to Presidential Hotel. And I believe that anybody, if you see her for the first time, you will want to know her. After knowing her, you want to know her more. So I cited her with the army, working, pretty lady, young girl. Just working with military police also. So, of course, I willed her.
I like that word. I haven't heard it in a very long time though. Willed.
Yes. And all she was captured via, I think she was waiting for transport.
Okay.
And I pretended to be driving somewhere. And hi babe, want a ride or something? The normal things. And so on. Of course, she started. It was decent to come in. That's how it started. Every that means history. 1 month ago, we celebrated 50 years of marriage life.
So what kept that 50 years going? I mean, for so many people, young people who are coming into marriage, it will seem like they don't even understand the meaning of that concept.
I was not as fully religious as I am now. What religion has come to be now. But in my mind, I was praying that I should meet a lady who will be my friend, not my girlfriend.
Was it love at first sight?
Love. Okay. If I didn't love, okay, I couldn't have said love. I was attractive. Yes, at first. That's why I had to release her. Give her a ride. Where are you going? I'll drop you at your home. So all the things men will do. From there, okay, during the weekend, will you mind if I come and go to a party or something? And okay, thank God, she didn't say no. I mean, things from one thing to the other.
How were you able to manage your relationship such that it didn't affect your marriage? Because another thing that has also accounted for why, couples grow apart is that they don't spend enough time together. How have you been able to manage that aspect of your relationship with her?
I would say we thank God. You learn to understand each other, you learn to sacrifice and all that. A few things that you like or you don't like, and see how you can work your other half into it and all that.
Was there ever a time you thought of saying, okay, I'm done?
Well, I've never. I would have liked to say none of us has ever thought of it. It don't cross my mind.
He's a gentleman. He's a good, loving husband, a wonderful person. But sometimes it can be a bit hot. But that is when you cross your line.
How was it like, to the kids when they were growing up?
Well, my husband is like their classmates actually. Once he comes from work, all of them have one thing or two to do. Some will be removing his shoes, some socks, some bringing his house dress. So then they will start, Daddy, what do you want to eat? So that they will eat with him. They will go and join to make the table, and they will eat together. In fact, he will even announce it. They wait for that announcement. Who is going to eat with Daddy? Who is going to eat with Daddy? Me. This one will say, "Hi." This one. They rush to the table, and they are happy eating together always. And if they need anything they don't understand in school or something, he will be there for them. I'll be thanking God for his life and saying, my dear, we've come a long way. Continue to live as we have been living. Anything new, just maybe for the better. We don't practice strange things at this age.
My dad is my dad, is a father, is the one that I won't trade for anything in this world. But I mean, you never know. He'll always be there, so you just never know. But the truth is that he's my friend. My dad is my bestie. He's my gisting partner. He's always there for me. He's taken me everywhere I want to go. Buys me everything I need, I think, or want, whichever way. But my dad is a disciplinarian in like a subtle way. And when he says no, it's no. I remember when I was going to get married and I had announced, or my in-laws had come over and they were like shocked, like what is going on? And so it was my dad that called me aside and said, Tokes, why the rush and all of that? And my mom was there going all hysterical. And I said to him, I'm pregnant. He said, okay. I think the shock of it and everything, and he just sort of walked out and said, hey woman, let's plan this thing. We have to do it now. For everything and all the very many things that you've done, I'm so very grateful. And I wish that I can do 1/10 back. I feel like inadequate sometimes, because I always just say, I haven't been able to give back to you what I would like to, and I know that whatever he has hoped for me to become, so then I always just pray the prayer that, Lord God, please help me to be a little bit more for my dad.
He is such a person that was ready to listen to anybody. And he provides solutions to your problems, if not instantly, but within the shortest period that you will desire, and you'll be happy.
He's well respected. He's astute in his approach to national matters. He's a nationalist. He's a man who believes in Nigeria, and he exhibited that in his leadership quality. He has very good skills, and he's a mentor figure.
He's a born leader. He really understands how to develop and maintain relationships. At the time of crisis, that was a house that was bedeviled by crisis. Colonel Akogun was a pillar of stability, and successfully managed the house, and got us through a lot of difficult times. So he was, he's a leader, true leader, who is ready to listen to everybody.
Let's go into your extracurricular activity. What do you like for sports? How do you relax?
I used to play lawn tennis. I used to jog. I would say then social life. Okay, maybe a bit of spoiling oneself was, especially the army, including after the army.
It's been a journey down memory lane. Thank you very much.
Amen. Thank you very much.
As a viewer, it's been a pleasure having you go on this ride with us on a conversation with history. Thank you so much for your time. Until next time, be kind to one another and stay well. I'm THECLA WILKIE. Stay safe.